So the other session got cut short, and we were talking about FVGs in breaker blocks, like Olanrewaju reminded us. I could see it though. I just wanted somebody to say something to show that we're all following. Some of us are following. Now, um, where was I? Okay. So now we can see how this reaction point now serves as a breaker. And I was talking about the fact that some of these things are integrating with each other. For some people, this is a reaction point. For some people, it's flip zone, breaker block. For some people, it's just the FVG. It could be anything to you, but make sure that as a mentee of mine here, you have to see it more as an opportunity to use all these people's confluences as yours. I don't just trade FVG. You can see there any FVG. But this FVG sitting on this breaker block, sitting on this reaction point, sitting on however you want to put it, is all something. This same FVG is available on the daily FVG, sitting on this other block here, this OB here, sitting on order flow here. Do you all see how all these things are like merging with each other? This is order block 1, 2, and 3. So all these things are like jam packing each other as confluence, as reason as to why this zone has a good opportunity to hold. I don't know if that's making sense. Now let's continue on replay too. I wanted to try and catch a re-entry. It might be somewhere here, sure. Might. That's if it comes. It looks like it will come. Let me check one out. Let me check daily. Okay, there's already a daily MVG here. Not bad for reaction point. So normally this is actually too wide of a stop loss, but it's daily time frame now. Let's check 2 hour. 30 minutes. I'm just looking for how to refine it. So that's the thing. I normally start from like higher time frames, 4 hour, and then sometimes I end up being on 15 minutes or 5 minutes. But the perfect POI that's inside the higher time frames POI. So yeah, let's just look 15 minutes. We can always catch the continuation. So if this was silver now, if we're checking it with silver, this would be an SMT. An SMT like this one now, we could just wait for this break of high, enter somewhere here if the opportunity comes, and target higher, or even form yourself if that's your tail, just enter as soon as you broke this structure, keep your SL below and maybe to work. Very, very simple stuff. You can see that they think that they want to reverse here, but I doubt, sure. So that was because of this structure. I just saw it well. There's another block. So somebody's asking what SMT is. Am I meant to teach? Let me teach. So nothing special about teaching SMT. In fact, add it to your assignments. I think the last people I had class with, I gave them an assignment on SMT. So add it to your assignments. Fibonacci, and SMT. But if I'm to summarize it, SMT is basically I don't even know the meaning of SMT gone. But I shall know that it's like where you have a price correlation with another. So SMT correlations you have usually is when where you see price doing this dumb stuff. So usually yeah, people might be waiting for price to sweep this low or something. And then you get the SMT on gold. What it means happening is that maybe on a pair like silver, it broke this low, right? So the correlation here is that usually gold and silver move alike. So if silver broke this low and SMT occurred on gold where it did not break this low, it did this liquidity pattern that is like a trap, right? Now, this SMT is like the SMT needs is not actually that just that it did a trap, but the fact that silver broke its low, gold did not. So silver probably broke its low into a POI and has done something like a sweep and is trying to buy. Then gold did not. So somebody might be waiting for them to break this low and maybe trying to sell for them to break this low. That's not like the trap. That I think it's supposed to be SMT is supposed to even be, I think it's supposed to be smart money trap, right? But um I think my network is fine. My network is very okay. Let me check my list. Where's my Android? Okay. Let me check how many Mbps. Somebody's complaining about if it's their network or mine. I really doubt it's mine. Let me do quick speed test. Okay, I'm not even connected to it. I don't think it's from my network. Oh, it might be. Oh. Okay, somebody said that mine is fine, but I don't think it's as fast as it's supposed to be. It's in my upload speed is 17.5. 17.5 isn't bad. Okay, it's can't be my network. It's at 100 Mbps. So yeah, it's definitely not mine. So yeah, what was I saying? So the SMT is now, what happens in the SMT is that correlation that is meant to occur, since it didn't occur, there's a high chance that since gold was unable to do this thing, this trap kind of makes more liquidity available. So more people might be trying to sell, might be trying to do something else, might be waiting for something, might be waiting for a sweep. Now this push up now, this now certifies that gold's run up. For me, I think that's my own observation is that most of the time they pair with that SMT, which is like in this instance gold, has a higher chance of having a bigger run than silver does. And then other SMT correlating pairs are like EU and GU, AU and NZD, EU and DXY, all those kind of things. Those pairs just have a form of relation to an extent. Now, we're lucky we got this one right. On daily, we got this right. Yeah, so what's left? So we've talked about ranges. Now, I will not say I'm satisfied with the way we've touched liquidity. But what's the problem with touching liquidity? The problem here is that I cannot just draw for you any liquidity. We have to first master ranges and master structure before we really master liquidity. There's liquidity everywhere. So you have to know which liquidity is being grabbed and which liquidity is about to get taken. Now, on a pair like gold now, people will be looking for liquidity and claiming that there's liquidity here, liquidity there. What was pushing gold throughout would have been fundamentals, like war, politics, stuff like that. That's what's been pushing gold upward. Now, somebody that just straight in the name of liquidity, any liquidity they see, is getting bonds. Is getting bonds constantly. On an average, if you use trend line, gold has been on a very strong uptrend. It just depends on where you draw it from. And there'll be many times it will look like it's breaking out of that trend, but you'll be wrong. But me, I'm not the best when it comes to drawing trend line, but I'm good at integrating it. Now, let me confirm if there's anything about teaching my entries on this thing so that I know if I'll just show how all these things work for me now. But this is basically just our second class. Okay, we have gold trading teachings, tips, and breakdown on Wednesday and Thursday. So that's when I'll talk about these things. So let me just type them out where I wrote them out for somebody else. So let me write it out the way I wrote it out for somebody else. So basically, what do I use to catch my trades? I use Fib2. All these things are like conferences for me. trend lines, ranges, FVG, and entry type. When I say entry type, what I'm trying to say is the internal and external range type. So there are types of entries you could catch. It depends on the time frame you're focusing on. On 5 minutes, I mostly be using liquidity sweep and FVG. Liquidity sweep, FVG. On higher time frame, I'll be only sticking to FVG. Like higher time frame, like 4 hour and daily, I'm only sticking to FVG and breaker block, FVG and breaker block, or order flow. Really depends on what I'm looking forward to. So, but I can't teach all these things in a minute or a few seconds or a few minutes or in a day itself for you to just grasp it. So we're going to try and take it like that till we're done with the class. So all this is actually simple stuff. But let's just finish up our small back test session. So it doesn't seem like this class was very short. The other one was okay, but let's try and finish up this one. If we're on 5 minutes now, we would have seen the reaction here, liquidity sweep and reaction. Same things I was talking about, but everything really depends on the time frame you're looking at. Let's switch back to daily so we can see where we might get a good reaction from. So there's an FVG here as one. I think in the future, a reaction comes on this. I think it's from November. Then we have another FVG here. This will be our continuation. Now let's go back to 4 hour. We already have mitigation here. Let's go to 1 hour. So I'll have a reason to take this zone. I like this breaker block here. Why do I like it? Because of that liquidity sweep that happened below. So that zone has a good chance of having a proper reaction. I'm not 100% sure. No. But I have to now add it with my other confluences to know if it's worth taking. Let me keep my entry here for now. Because of 30 minutes, FVG is there and not up here. And my best FVGs are 30 minutes, 4 hour, 2 hour, weekly, and 5 minutes. I feel like they are stronger FVGs than the others. Not that all of them don't work well. I just feel like if an FVG aligns in this zone, yeah, it's overwhelming at first. So just now I saw this message. It's overwhelming at first, especially when it's like the first time. Like me now, all these things don't come to me once. That's why I'm like trying to. This is me even trying to keep it slow. If I rush, if I put it on the same level that I put my own ideas, you're not going to understand me at all. So what's going to happen? Though, the best case scenario for you is to go back and rewatch. Farming Pips 1.0 was kind of like this, but with time, I guess everybody kind of like. I think it's only one person that ever told me that he did not understand what I was teaching, and they were like, I think they were like 30 in that last one. What am I trying to say? You can't understand it. It's not magic. I did not learn it in a day, in a week, self, in a month. But you can learn it in a week, in a month. Why? Because at least I've now understood it to now try and even teach you. Imagine me learning it without anybody teaching me in the first place. So you just take, you just spend your time on it. Maybe with time it becomes slightly more easier than it really is. So it's going to be overwhelming. Same way, normal SMC was probably overwhelming for you on the first try. On the very first try, it could have been more overwhelming than it is. I just realized I've not checked weekly. For everybody. For everybody. Mm. 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 So if you really want to put in the work that makes you understand it, you have to like practice, study. In this class, I only expect one person or two persons to understand everything I'm saying, at least that fast. Only one person to understand it. And some people will force themselves and pretend like they understand. Some people, anybody come to my DM telling me, I understood what it's two things. Either you're lying or you're being honest because you've already been practicing. And the only thing I've done is just open your head to it. So we can see reaction from this FVG here compared to the other block I was waiting for. But we can't see a defined structure here for me to say, okay, I'm going to take the buy from there. So yeah, now we can see reaction from this one and still not defined enough, but it's better than what we got here. Now we can see better reaction. So what is making this one better? The trend is about to break and close above from a POI. And you can see how they swept this one. So if you can see good closes like above here, then we can say it's a good buy. I say I know they fear this thing they do, I they lie. This whole price action is behaving like they want to reverse from here. So let me check something on 1 hour. I don't even remember this yourself. But it still looks like it's going to buy from there. It's just shaky. But rather than rushing it, because the problem with replay tools like this is that you can't really be sure. You don't have all the time you have in a single day. Because you're going to try and be like trying to finish up the zone. So if it's like in the days now, Wednesday, Friday, whatever, we'll just be focusing on what candles going on in the screen. Maybe be surprised. So they took the second FVG. Somebody said that I'm going a little bit. Okay, what did they say? It's actually more about the pace and too much going on the screen. It's confusing. Too much going on the screen will go back to us having a backtest session. If I'm being real, everything I needed to explain before now was already explained when I talked about ranges, structure, and daily bias. Everything relating to liquidity is now what we're now trying to now open our focus to. So I think that's where your first mistake is. We've gone over the major things we need to go over on this side. Those were the major and most important things we need to talk about. Those are the things I needed to teach right now. Everything I'm doing now, moving forward, is showing it's on a, will I use on a faster way, on a faster lane. I was meant to add you guys to two groups. I added you guys to only one, the bootcamp group. Now, me, I don't even remember what was on that group, and it's probably old, right? Because that write-up was from the last class. So I think the thing that I'm going to do that is not going to harm us at all is Anyway that messages me right now, I'm going to add you to the last class group for you to go over the videos there, because on TG, not on WhatsApp. So what am I trying to do now? So the problem with me is that I don't teach for you to grasp it once. You have to come back. If you think I'll teach you now, you are lying to yourself. You must watch it over and over and over again. Now the other thing here is I'm going to say multiple things in a way I understand. Now, what's the point of those multiple things that I'm saying? The point of it is so that when you see those things, it doesn't become so brand new to you. It can't be brand new to you because I have taught it to you before. I don't know if that made any sense. But the fact that I've taught it to you before, it's not going to be a new or special subject. So that's how I teach. So the way I carried my last class along was no matter what I taught them, they would always have the need to come back and learn and relearn what I taught them last. That's how I teach. Do you get? So if you hear me say something like I said, we finished the thing on ranges and structure, and there's nothing new to it. It was simple and straightforward. But everything now moving forward is just backtest and everything I understand, right? So it's not just about me just talking. It's not just talking. It's recorded for you to come back to it and go over it again. If you don't go over whatever I'm doing, you're going to fail yourself. That is how I teach, right? I try to make it as straightforward as possible because at the end of the day, no matter how many times people will join live sessions, it's good to join live sessions. It's good to try and be there firsthand. And if you have any questions or anything, you would um I don't use graphical representation. That's the problem. If you keep on doing graphical representation, somebody just said the range. Okay, let me see if I can expand this. He said like the range. I expected a graphical representation for the example. What is graphical representation? It's not this thing. Show you the thing you'd expect to see and tell you this is range, this is no. You need it straight out of the charts. Why is it like that? Because you're going to at the end of the day need to see it on the chart. If we keep on focusing on what are candlesticks, how do candlesticks form, all those basic stuff. Yes, it's easy, but you need to do the rest of the hard work comes from you and not from me, right? This class from the beginning is not a beginner friendly class, like I explained. And I'm surprised I have like at least like 4 people that seem to be like beginners here, or 5, at least that have shown themselves that they are beginners. This is not a beginner friendly class, but I'm going to try to at least make it worth attending, right? You don't get, it's not, I can't tell you, I already tried doing that by joining this thing. The main thing you need from ranges is to understand the basic things. If you heard everything I said regarding my explanation from ranges from the last session before it ended, you really understand what I was trying to point out. If I use only these drawings is as you must have seen these drawings 1,000 times from people's charts and you never understood it. What you need to understand is that you need to put in the work to see it every single time it mattered. Every single fucking time that a range mattered, you need to point them out yourself. That's the thing I'm trying to put inside your head right now. So, like I said, I already thought the main thing. And if I'm moving too fast for you guys, we can end it here and pick up some other time on our next class. We'll go over the next few days. I'll add you guys to the last group chat. So I'm adding it is for the fact that Pips Farmer one class was the same class I used to teach. Even some of my private students, if they go over the videos there, and then we now start all over with newer stuff since it's private class. But yeah, it's been a successful class. But my point I'm trying to make is this is just the second class. If you think on the second class you're going to understand it, you're deceiving yourself. It's never going to work that way. It was never meant to work that way in the first place. It's never ever meant to work that way. Somebody asked me since they are just backtest, nothing like since they are just backtest sessions. We've had the first few classes. We used examples and every other thing. I had this spelling. We've used the back test now to further I'll make it longer safe, right? The main thing you needed to understand was already taught in the beginning. In fact, this second class is the second hour that we're having. And the point of the second hour is so that we had a longer class to now show people these things moving forward. But as you're learning more things as time goes by, you would understand more of it. As I said, you can never understand any of these things from the first or second class being held. That's the point being made here. All the same, we are in our class here. I'll add anybody that needs to be added on the newer classes. And like I said, these things are kept on a very simple explanation for the reason being that you they cannot be one way to teach it. If I teach you how I cut only this entry without teaching you that this entry is the same in four different ways, you just need to be the one to see it yourself. And you're going to fail yourself faster. Faster. So this is this. The problem is you think you can just be as good as I am overnight. Nah. The point of making this as basic as or trying to keep it short sometimes is so that you get it into your head at some point. It's not magic, it's not rocket science. I mean, some of the things I know is just because of I know how to backtest. So the first and major thing you need to understand is how to backtest. If you don't know how to backtest, you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. Yeah, so I just started all these ones for the sake of it. Okay, end here. It's not magic. You have to work for that part. That part that you're looking for. You must work. If you think I open your mouth and point in your mouth, you're lying to yourself. This is not a beginner. If you think I open your mouth and be teaching you what is candlestick, all those tiny, tiny rubbish things, you're lying to yourself. You have to be fast. This is just our second class. We have like how many more classes to go? Like 6 more sessions. Let me check. Like 6 more sessions to go. 6 more. Where is the other reason? Let me count it. One. So it's remaining 1, 2, 3. It's not even up to 6. It's like 4 or 5. So yes, we have to like be moving at the same pace. And to move at that same pace, you have to understand the first things I've talked about. After this class, you watch the video again. If you don't understand, watch the video again. You have enough time to watch it. On the next class, I'll try and calm down more. Write down, write down, write down things and go over those insights to be easier to understand, right? That's going to be my work on the next class. But there was nothing to this class. We're only learning ranges, liquidity, structure, and daily bias. What's in all this is what is a range? You want me to draw line from here to here? That's not how you check your ranges. You check your ranges from what is available, right? And then you now check structure and daily bias. What's in any of those things? Daily time frame and all those things. You just have to put in the work. That's just what you have to understand. It's not about how many times I teach you or how many times I repeat myself. You can only take the horse to the stream. You can't force it to drink water. So you have to believe. If you think that I'm willing to teach, but you have to know what do you know is confusing you? What do you think is hard for you to understand? Pin it down to what it is. Don't say that this is no, it's going to be overwhelming. That's naturally trading. But if you want to know what your real issue is, you need to study. Do you get? I'm broadening your mind in these first few classes. That's the point of the first few classes, to broaden your mind. The rest of it, you must walk. And when you walk, then you would walk along. That's the sense of it. You can't want to learn maths and then you don't even know how to do your additions, your subtractions, and you want me to teach you algebra. I'm only there to teach you algebra. I can't teach you 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2. Do you get? You have to work for that part. I can only try. I can only make it simple for you to understand that, hey, yes, it's going to be there. You're going to have your own pluses. You're going to have your own minuses. But you need to really make all those things work. Any questions you have should go to my DM, Saranara.